Hi, and welcome to the C-Suite Edge. I'm your host, John Light. I'm the CEO and founder of Recruiting. And I have with me today Alex Smirnoff from Luminoso Technologies. And Alex, you have a fantastic background, I know, in helping companies stay relevant in the ML and AI space. Why don't you give us a quick rundown of your background and what brought you here to this point with Luminoso?
Sure, John, and thank you so much for the invitation. And my background is all in science and engineering. I spent about, 20 years in the industry. Started actually in aerospace engineering, spent about 10 years working for Lockheed Martin, and then got a startup bug, moved to New York, and never looked back. And last 5 years, I've been with Luminoso, which is the text analytics company that was founded by the researchers from MIT, and we
Mm-hmm.
do text analysis for large corporations.
Interesting, because you guys deal, as I understand it correctly, with helping keep technology relevant. In companies nowadays, I think the general public doesn't always consider this, but you take any brand out there, any company, B2B, B2C, doesn't really matter. They invest a lot in their technology. They invest a lot in their tech stack, the people, processes, systems. And the challenge right now is technology is just coming out with these waves of all kinds of things introduced through AI. And there are a lot of opportunities to rethink technology in a way that keeps companies relevant, which is the big race, right? As we all want to get in the front of it. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that by telling us what's the biggest problem in that context that you and Luminoso solve for people.
John, you're absolutely correct. And actually, it's very opportune time for us to talk because the field kind of changed again in the last 2 weeks with the next generation of the models that just came in because Luminoso is a SaaS company. And we were founded about 2016. And it was traditional machine learning at the beginning, and then neural nets showed up, and then it was a big GPT moment in 2023.
Right.
And now it changed again because, as you probably know, SaaS companies started really suffering about 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's we see this in real time just because of the next generation of the model that just got released that drastically better. So, I mean, it's a very interesting time, but it's a very hard time for the industry as well because, as you pointed out correctly, we need to stay relevant. And I mean, technology is literally changing by the week at the moment. As I mentioned to you, I mean, it was an interesting moment with the last release of Anthropic and OpenAI, and we're waiting for Google to release. So it would be interesting what they're going to bring to bear. And in our case, we need to make sure that our platform actually meets these demands by our customer base to be relevant in a very fast shifting business environment. And again, my belief is the traditional machine learning is still relevant, but it should be absolutely blended with what the modern models are capable of. So what we're trying to do is to blend these two universes and make them kind of, more than the sum of the two components. I mean, the
Mm.
idea is to kind of enhance traditional methods with machine learning, generative models, and enhance generative models with traditional ML. Because if you think about it, even with all the advances in the generative AI and LLMs, the memory is still a problem, and the length of the context is still a problem because 1 million tokens is great. But if you think about it, it's about 300 pages of documents. Well, it's not that much.
Right.
So people have much more than that to analyze. So how exactly you gonna make sure that you can reap all the benefits of modern LLMs with very large volumes of text? And that's exactly what we're thinking about. That's one problem. And the second problem is what's going on with SaaS platforms. I mean, we're a startup, but look what happened to companies like Salesforce.
Hmm.
Got close to 30, lost about 30% of their value over the last 2 weeks. There are many other companies as well. Reuters lost 12%, I think, in the last week of its value just because of the new tool released by Anthropic. So we kind of need to understand what's going on with the SaaS as an industry. And if you ask for my personal opinion, we are going into the realm of very personalized software, where you're actually going to be able, because now it becomes financially viable, to personalize your SaaS platform per customer. So every customer is going to have very personal and very customized experience based on their use cases. And that's what we're working uh, what we're working on at Luminoso. How we're going to do that? Because again, we have the current customers, we have new customers. Everybody has slightly different set of use cases. We have our basic algorithms that are still solid, but people expect now to match what SaaS is providing exactly to their business use cases. And that's exactly what we're working on. And it's a work in progress.
And it's interesting to me because you talk about ML, and a lot of people, I don't know if we're always cognizant of the fact ML has been around for a long time,
Absolutely.
relatively speaking. And one of the big restraints on it or constraints has been the lack of compute cycles, memory issues, and so on and so forth. And now that all the data centers are being built and you have generative AI and then agentic AI, all these things that eat so much of those resources up, but they also, by forcing that ecosystem to grow, I think have opened up some doors because ML is very reliable technology,
Correct.
and a lot of companies have already put tons of money into it, investment dollars. So I'm curious if you could share an example without, of course, change the name so we protect the innocent
For
and the
sure.
guilty, right?
For
But
sure.
an example that gives a demonstration of how do you take someone who's been very ML dependent, maybe since, 2015, 16, 17, whatever, but now they realize that in response to the investor pressures, where investors are looking at companies like Salesforce and they're seeing this big drop in their valuation, a lot of it is because they see as potential competition coming in, the people on the bleeding edge of agentic AI and things of this nature. How does a company like that or one of your clients take what's existing and, to your point, integrate the new waves of technology that are coming out in a way that not only stays relevant but helps them be profitable and productive in a time of change like this?
Well, it's a multifaceted question. And if you are Salesforce, I can help you. That's basically on you, quite frankly, because, and I'm saying that because Salesforce is a SaaS platform, and I'm
Right.
a SaaS platform, so I fundamentally I have completely similar set of challenges. So I mean, how Salesforce is gonna address it? That's up to Salesforce, and I can
Mm-hmm.
say only how I gonna address it and how I help my customers that are not SaaS platforms, you know, commercial companies in various business verticals, to leverage this technology to improve their business practices.
Mm-hmm.
The way it works, obviously, if they're under a lot of pressure to show their investors and their clients that they're up to date technologically. However, as I say, the driver here is the business use case, because at the end of the day, I mean, language models are great, but you don't need language models for everything, and sometimes it's much more reasonable and, quite frankly, cheaper to use traditional ML methods to address the problems. But again, I mean, the good thing that they can be enhanced further by using language models. And let me give you a few examples from my domain, which is text analytics. And obviously, before we do text analytics, we need to ingest the data. I mean, the data may come in multiple formats. You know, if we're talking about documents, PDF format is very popular. For anything happens to the text in the PDF, you have to parse it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there is a PDF and there is a PDF, and what I mean by that is that if it's a PDF that was created out of the text document, that's one thing. If this PDF was created from the picture, that may be a picture of the text. It's a completely different ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing that if it's a text PDF, there are very good deterministic algorithms to process it. If it's a picture, well, you're getting into the domain of OCR, which is object character recognition. So I'm sorry for using the acronym. I mean, some of them work well and some of them don't. But interesting thing that models are really good, LLMs are really good for them at the moment. So, I mean, here comes the blend because now we can provide our customers with a guaranteed way to parse whatever they have. And it's especially interesting when there is a PDF document that has both. And there are a lot of them. When there is a text, and then just imagine that there is some kind of financial document from I don't know, HR department. And there is a text in it, and then there are handwritten receipts. It's actually pictures that are embedded in the text. So, but now we can process all of that. And that's a real value to the customer because now they don't have to worry about how they create their documents because we can guarantee to them that they're going to get processed. And again,
Mm-hmm.
after that, I mean, we're after the data in those documents because then our algorithms are going to take this data and do something with the data. But before you do that, there is this prep step that just got much simpler, quite frankly. And the other example also from our world, there are very reliable deterministic algorithms to extract the keywords from the large volume of text. And quite frankly, I think that the traditional algorithms are still kind of better than language models in that. Again, just looking at the quality of the keyword sets based on more than 10 years of us doing that. At the same time, and we're going to continue doing that. At the same time, when you would like to understand the main themes in the large volume of text, and oh, by the way, let me backtrack for a second. When you do the deterministic keyword extraction, there is no limit on the size of the data set. I mean, it's gonna run slower because you're gonna spend more time extracting them, but doesn't matter how large the data set is. And for the model, I mean, you still have the context window, and again, you can try to get around. But why would you if you have very reliable way of doing it traditionally and you don't have any limitation on the size of the document set? However, these methods are not allowing you, I mean, they're not really efficient and not very really high quality when you want to understand the main topics of the documents. And because there is a difference between the keywords and topics, because 20 keywords may be related to the same topic. And the models are really good at that because it requires the understanding of the language. And models are really good with the language. So now what we can do is to blend these together and not only give our customers a set of keywords that they still want because it's kind of important, because they want to see what are the main kind of conceptual combination of words that people are using for the text analytics, and they use it for marketing mostly and for understanding which keywords they need to use in their marketing campaigns, for example. So it's still valuable. At the same time, they want to understand what are the main clusters of conversation. What people are talking about in the data set that they're interested in. And this topic extraction is kind of provides another facet and kind of, another color in terms of understanding of their data. And again, I mean, that's another good example of blending the traditional methods and what you can get out of LLM.
Interesting. Interesting. I sit back sometimes and circling back on something you said about how companies, their use cases can have some nuance, right? There can be big differences between what a company wants to see and that sort of thing. I'm curious, it almost sounds like tailoring, where you have a suit and it's a bespoke suit, and then you tailor that last 10 or 20% of it to fit your customer.
Correct.
And it sounds like that's the direction we're going, is there's going to be a baseline model or a baseline tool with a little bit of customization into it to make it fit for purpose. Is that what you're seeing out there?
That's pretty much what we are getting into. And I mean, I would say that there is a kind of medium term and longer term perspective on that. And don't ask me what the medium and longer term is, because again,
Who knows?
we're currently dealing with week by week schedules. Medium term maybe months, but I still think that the medium term is like a year, and the short term about 3 to 6 months, and the longer ones probably, I don't know, 24 months. Why I'm saying that currently we are getting into this, agentic paradigm, and again, it's a very overused term, but what, in a very kind of basic level, what the agent is, it's an LLM with a set of tools. So what I think is going to be happening almost immediately in terms of the customization of the methods to the business use cases per customer is that you have a set of tools and you have an LLM, and the customer coming in and basically saying, well, this is my use case and I need this kind of information. And LLM, even now, I mean, I would say that latest generation like Opus 4.6, for example, is good enough to say, aha, for this use case, out of this set of 20 tools, I need these 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use these 5 tools, and then I'm going to customize your dashboard based on your use case. So your UI is going to be different, because currently, I mean, they can write the UI pretty much on the fly. It's a little bit experimental still, but actually I was running it in test mode. It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
And
What'll be interesting about it is how customized each individual user can make things,
it may be very customized. It's very individual, because what they do is actually they write the code on the fly,
yeah.
and it's immediately fast. I mean, it's incredibly fast already, and I think that it's going to get even faster. But that's what I expect to be kind of coming out very soon, and that's what we kind of started experimenting with. And the next state may be that the model is going to say, aha, based on that use case, I need to use this algorithm, but I don't have this tool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to write it.
And it just does it.
And then I'm going to use it. And again, you kind of can do it now already, but I wouldn't deploy it in production yet.
Mm-hmm.
However, I wouldn't be surprised if in 9 to 12 months, that's exactly what's going to be happening, because the models are getting better and better in code. I can tell you that I write code every day. For the last 3 months, 2 months, let's be conservative, I didn't write a single line of code by hand. It's all Claude, and it's really good code. I mean, I'll review it, but I don't write it anymore.
Yeah, you still have to have editorial control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you this, Alex. If someone wanted to connect with you and Luminoso and go a little more in depth and detail about what you guys can do to help keep them not only relevant, and honor their investment in the direction they're going, honor their use cases, what's the best way for someone to find you and get in touch?
Well, obviously, they can just go to luminoso.com. And I mean, there is a way to send messages to anybody at Luminoso. I mean, just write us a message and we're going to get it. They're welcome to email me directly. It's A Smirnoff, my first letter of my first name, which is A, and Smirnoff, my last name, at luminoso.com. And I would be more than happy to interact with whoever has further questions.
Sounds like a winner. Alex, thanks so much for joining me today.
Sure. It was a pleasure. Thank you, John.